Welcome back. Well, if you're just joining us, we've been talking about holding China accountable for the fatal consequences of the coronavirus, while some Democrat lawmakers are actually downplaying China's culpability. And Sean, I think it's interesting. Obviously, we talked to Senator Cotton about it, and we talked to our company about it, but it seems like maybe one of the best ways to do that is to be limiting some of these student visas. I mean, we're allowing so many. The number is astronomical.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, look, I just want to remind people, let's go back. I want to play the way that Senator Cotton put this was so succinct. Let me just remind everyone what he had to say on this.
To have graduate students or PhD postdocs working in our most sensitive laboratories, many of which are often funded by the Department of Defense or the intelligence community or the Department of Energy, poses a clear risk to our national security.
I mean, a clear risk to our national security. I don't think that this is something that we should, that should be a partisan issue. This is something that everyone should come together. If you are coming here to study in one of these sensitive labs, getting your PhD, and then going back to China to use it to compete against us, to steal our intellectual property, that should concern everybody. That should concern every company, every American, and every politician. And the idea that we're worried about being called, xenophobic or racist or whatever is ridiculous. At some point, we have to stand up for our companies, we have to stand up for our country and our workers. And allowing this to happen should be something that should be very easy. They don't have a right to come in and steal from us.
Yeah, I think that's right. And like you said, I think it's important to really clarify this isn't about people being Chinese specifically. It's about who is sending them. It's the Communist Party that's bringing them to our country in the effort to steal information, to bring it back, that they might work against us. So it's not specifically because of their ethnicity or their race. That has nothing really to do with it.
You can come visit, you can hang out, you can stay. But I think the idea that we're giving them the keys to the castle is insane. I want to put the chart back up again. I mean, if you look at what this has looked like over the last 10 years, I mean, we have gone 3.5 times as many Chinese students have come to the United States since 2008 till last year. This has been a threefold increase. It is unbelievable that this has happened under everyone's eye. And when you have the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI both saying this is a big problem, it's a big problem. Yeah. And I cannot believe this is one area where everyone talks about what can we do to push back. This should be a no-brainer.
Yeah, it should be a no-brainer. And I think it will hurt our country in the beginning because they bring in, just those students bring in $14 billion to our schools right now. But in the long term, we have to be smart about who we're allowing to come take our information. And it seems like the most innocent of ways, but it really isn't.
Well, and we didn't really get into this with Senator Cotton because we didn't have time, but it's not just the students. These institutions are getting large grants from China at the same time. So there's a reason that they don't want to say anything. They don't really care. They're getting not just the students and probably getting full tuition from a lot of them, but they're also getting these huge grants that come with it. So it's not just the direct tuition that is helping to fund all of this. It's all of the money that's going into all these other projects. I mean, they are essentially coming in and saying, give us the keys to the lab. We'll give you the manpower, which, by the way, is our people. We'll help fund it. And then we're going to take everything that we learned. We're going to go back to China. And not are we going to do good things and help make the world a better place, but we're going to go after your companies, undermine them, undercut what your workers are doing. I mean, this is literally our fault if we don't stop it.
Yeah, that's right. I asked Holly this question, but I want to ask you, Sean, because you've been in the administration. Do you think this is even possible? Like, what does it look like to actually limit these student visas? Is that realistic?
Yeah, I mean, it's realistic, but I think that politically it's really sensitive, and that's the problem. I mean, Holly brought up a good point in the company section here, where there's going to be people that say, oh, my God, you're racist and all this stuff. At some point, though, that's on us. If you don't have the political leadership to stand up and say this is what's good and right for the country, then that's our own fault. And so it's going to take somebody that stands up and says, here's the deal. I think that, again, it's not restricting travel. It's not restricting people coming into work, but it's coming in and saying, if you're coming in here to work in sensitive positions in labs, getting your PhD where you're going to get access to sensitive information or to corporate insight, then we're going to say no. And we've got to be a lot more restrictive of that. And I think that we do need some oversight into this. And if you don't agree with that, then I think we've got a big problem in this country with the people that say no. And we should expose that because that's something that people should be able to vote on and say, here's who's supporting it, here's who's against it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And to expose not only that this is happening, but in what degree it's happening. And like you mentioned, it's not everyone. There are some different degrees, whether it be education or whether it's the arts. It's not as big of a concern as these people are in technology,
Yeah, I mean,
science fields.
Right, you're not going to go home and paint better and then come out and steal the keys to the to our ability to do art-based things. But you're right, if they've got to be in certain technology fields and other national securities. But there's a way that we can do this smartly, and I think that, we just have to put our mindset. But I don't think most people grasp the full magnitude of how many kids are coming and the impact that they're having.
Yeah, I think that's right. This conversation needs to continue. Yeah. Well, when we come back, we are going to continue the conversation on the virus, and later we're going to lighten the mood and talk about a creative way that many are celebrating a very important achievement when we return.